Welcome back to the channel BBC Rare Coins. Today, we're diving into one of the most iconic coins in American history, the Lincoln cent, also known as the humble 1-cent penny. Let's start. Top 1. What if I told you that a single penny, just 1 cent, could be worth more than $83,000? That's right, a tiny copper coin sitting in someone's pocket change turned out to be one of the most valuable Lincoln pennies in American history. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating story of the rare and incredibly expensive 2009 Lincoln penny that shocked the coin collecting world. In 2009, the United States Mint released a special series of Lincoln cents to commemorate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the 100th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself. Instead of the usual Lincoln Memorial reverse, these 2009 pennies featured 4 unique reverse designs, each representing a different stage of Lincoln's life: his birth and early childhood in Kentucky, his formative years in Indiana, his professional life in Illinois, and his presidency in Washington, D.C. Out of these 4 designs, one stands out when it comes to rarity and value: the formative years design. This coin shows a young Abraham Lincoln sitting on a log, reading a book and holding a tool, symbolizing his hard work and thirst for knowledge. It's a beautiful and historically rich design, but what makes it incredibly rare and valuable is a very specific minting error. The coin that sold for $83,000 is known as a double die reverse, or DDR. That means during the minting process, the design on the back of the coin was accidentally impressed twice, slightly offset, creating a doubling effect. In this particular 2009 penny, the doubling is clearly visible on Lincoln's fingers and thumb, giving the appearance of extra digits. It's a striking visual mistake, one that jumps out even to the untrained eye. And because of how precise and rare this doubling is, collectors have gone crazy over it. Only a small number of these double die pennies have ever been found in high grades. The $83,000 coin was graded MS 67 red, which means it's nearly perfect and still has its original red mint luster. Coins at this grade are extremely hard to come by, especially with such a dramatic and collectible error. So why is this coin worth so much? First, it's the rarity. Only a few examples of this exact error exist, especially in high grades. Second, it's the condition. A coin in nearly flawless condition is always worth far more than one with scratches, wear, or discoloration. Third, it's the historical significance. A 2009 coin marking Lincoln's 200th birthday, with a rare and obvious error, is like a perfect storm for collectors. And lastly, its demand. Coin collectors are always on the hunt for unique pieces, and this coin became legendary almost immediately after being discovered. Now here's the part that's truly amazing. This coin wasn't pulled out of some secret government vault or sold in a high-profile auction right away. It was found in regular pocket change. That's right, someone just like you or me found this coin in circulation. And that means there could be more of them still out there, just waiting to be discovered. Imagine the possibilities. That little penny in your change jar, the one sitting in your car's cup holder, the one you dropped on the floor last week, it could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars. All you need to do is know what to look for if you come across a 2009 Lincoln penny with the formative years design. Take a close look at Lincoln's hands. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. Look closely at the fingers and the thumb. If you see any signs of doubling, extra outlines, repeated shapes, strange shadows, you might be holding a rare DDR error. Some examples sell for a few $100s, others for a few thousand, depending on condition. But the Holy Grail, the MS 67 red, perfectly preserved example, hit $83,000. It's one of the highest prices ever paid for a modern Lincoln cent. This coin has become a legend in the numismatic world, and it's a reminder that treasure doesn't always come in the form of gold or diamonds. Sometimes, it comes in the form of a tiny copper disc with a story to tell and a mistake that makes it priceless. So check your change. Check your old coin jars. Check the rolls of pennies at your local bank. Because the next great discovery might not be buried underground. It might already be in your hand. 1 cent, $83,000. And it's still out there. Top 2. What if I told you that a simple 1964 Lincoln penny, a coin you've probably seen 1,000 times, could be worth up to $79,000? That's not a typo. 1 cent, minted over half a century ago, is now one of the most sought-after and expensive pennies in U.S. history. In this video, we're going to break down the incredible story behind the ultra-rare and highly valuable 1964 Lincoln penny that turned pocket change into a small fortune. The Lincoln cent has been a part of American life since 1909. It was introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth and quickly became one of the most iconic coins in circulation. But while millions of Lincoln pennies have been minted over the decades, only a handful have reached the legendary status of the 1964 rarity we're about to uncover. 1964 was a year of major transition in U.S. coinage. The country was on the edge of a coin shortage. The mint was under pressure, producing millions of coins daily to meet demand. Amid this chaos, a small number of 1964 Lincoln pennies were struck with extraordinary quality and mysterious characteristics that made them incredibly rare. One such penny, in absolutely pristine condition and carrying a nearly flawless strike, was eventually graded MS-67 red, a grade so rare for this year that only a couple examples have ever achieved it. This particular coin stunned collectors when it sold for an astonishing $79,000. That's $79,000 for a coin most people wouldn't even glance at twice. What makes this 1964 penny so special? First, it's the condition. To reach an MS-67 red grade, a coin must be nearly perfect. No scratches, no wear, no discoloration. It must look almost exactly as it did the day it left the mint. That alone eliminates 99.999% of the pennies minted that year. Second, it's the color. The term red refers to the bright, original red luster of the copper. Most older pennies darken over time, turning brown or dull. A red designation means the coin was preserved in such ideal conditions that it never lost its shine. That's extremely rare for a copper coin over 60 years old. Third, its rarity by survival. While over 1 billion pennies were struck in 1964, only a minuscule fraction survived in such condition. Most were handled, spent, scratched, and worn down through daily use. A perfect survivor from that era is practically a miracle. Fourth, and perhaps most intriguing, is the presence of subtle minting anomalies. Some of these rare 1964 cents exhibit minute die doubling, unusual die polishing marks, or extremely sharp strike details, leading some experts to believe they may have been part of a special strike batch, perhaps experimental, perhaps unintentional, but undeniably rare. And because this happened during a turbulent time at the mint, with high-pressure coin production and design adjustments underway, mistakes and unique strikes slip through the cracks. That's what collectors dream of: coins that shouldn't exist in their current state, but do. Now here's where it gets even more exciting. The 1964 Lincoln penny that sold for $79,000 wasn't found in a museum or ancient collection. It was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who knew what to look for. That means these coins could still be out there, in old jars, forgotten boxes, coin rolls at your local bank, or even hidden in your own pocket change. Think about that for a second. A coin you've walked past for years, a penny you dropped between your car seats or tossed into a tip jar, could secretly be worth tens of thousands of dollars. How can you spot one? First, look for a 1964 Lincoln penny with sharp details, especially around Lincoln's hair, beard, and the lettering. Any signs of doubling on the date or lettering should immediately catch your attention. If the coin still has a bright, original red shine and no visible wear, you could be looking at something special. If you think you've found one, don't clean it, don't scratch it, don't handle it too much. Have it graded professionally. Because the difference between a $1 coin and a $79,000 coin often comes down to condition, color, and rarity. This story proves that treasure is still out there, hidden in plain sight. The legendary 1964 Lincoln penny that fetched $79,000 is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of how the ordinary can suddenly become extraordinary. All it takes is the right year, the right condition, and the right eyes to see it. Check your change. Search your coin jars. Look closely at every 1964 penny you come across. Because that 1 cent could be worth more than a luxury car, more than college tuition, more than most people ever expect from something so small. And who knows? Maybe the next $79,000 penny is already in your hands. Top 3. What if the penny sitting in your pocket right now was worth $74,000? It sounds unbelievable, but it's absolutely real. One of the most shocking stories in U.S. coin history centers around a seemingly ordinary 1974 Lincoln penny that turned out to be one of the most valuable and rare coins ever discovered. This isn't a myth This isn't hype. This is a fact that has rocked the coin collecting world for decades. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909, but the 1974 penny stands out for one very specific reason. It was the year the U.S. Mint experimented with something totally new. With rising copper prices in the early 1970s, the government began looking for cheaper alternatives to make pennies. That led to the creation of experimental coins made from aluminum instead of the traditional copper or copper-plated zinc. These test coins would later become the stuff of legend. In 1974, more than 1 million aluminum cents were struck by the Philadelphia Mint as part of this test. The goal was simple. If aluminum worked and people accepted the new coin, the mint would save millions of dollars. But the plan was scrapped after strong pushback from the vending machine industry, hospitals, and law enforcement agencies. Almost all of those aluminum pennies were destroyed. Almost all. That's where the story takes a wild turn. A very small number, possibly fewer than 20, somehow escaped destruction, and even fewer have ever been seen in public hands. One of those ultra-rare 1974 aluminum Lincoln pennies was eventually discovered and made headlines. The value? A mind-blowing $74,000. And that number could climb even higher depending on condition and legal ownership. This penny wasn't just rare, it was unique. Mint records say it shouldn't exist, but it does. And that makes it one of the most valuable Lincoln cents in history. The story doesn't end there. In addition to the aluminum cents, there are 1974 Lincoln pennies struck on the wrong planchets. Planchets being the metal discs used to make coins. Some 1974 pennies have been found struck on foreign coin blanks, or even leftover silver blanks from other denominations. These mint errors are incredibly rare, and when combined with the historical importance of the 1974 test year, they skyrocket in value. Some of these error pennies have fetched tens of thousands of dollars, and one, in pristine uncirculated condition, reached the $74,000 mark. So what makes the 1974 Lincoln penny so special? First, rarity. Any 1974 aluminum cent is extremely rare. Most were melted down and destroyed, and owning one is like holding a piece of coinage history that almost never existed. Second, historical value. This wasn't just a minting error, it was a government experiment. These coins represent a turning point in American coin production, when the mint was actively preparing to change the metal content of one of the most used coins in the country. Third, condition. The highest prices have been paid for coins in mint state condition, uncirculated, flawless examples that were somehow preserved for decades. The $74,000 1974 Lincoln penny was in near-perfect shape, a miracle considering the circumstances of its creation and disappearance. Fourth, legal mystery. There has always been some controversy around the legal status of these aluminum cents. Since they were test coins, not released for circulation, the U.S. government has at times claimed ownership. But some have still managed to make it into collectors' hands, making them even more desirable and valuable. The bottom line is this. If you ever come across a 1974 penny that looks a little different, lighter in weight, unusual in color, or just off, don't ignore it. You could be holding a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. And with fewer than 24 examples believed to exist, that makes it even more valuable than many gold coins or historic silver dollars. Let's recap. Year: 1974 coin. Lincoln cent type. Aluminum experimental strike / rare mint error rarity. Fewer than 20 known value. Up to $74,000, a penny that shouldn't exist. A secret test. A lost piece of U.S. mint history. And today, one of the most valuable coins ever to carry Lincoln's face. The next time you get change from a store, don't just drop those pennies in a jar or leave them in your car cup holder. Check every single one. Because among the billions of common coins, a rare gem might be hiding. One that could change your life. And maybe, just maybe, the next $74,000 penny is already in your hand. Top 4. What if I told you that a 1978 Lincoln penny, yes, a regular 1-cent coin that most people would overlook, was once sold for an incredible $68,000? It sounds impossible, but it's 100% true. A small, copper coin minted over 4 decades ago became one of the most valuable and mysterious modern-era U.S. coins ever discovered. This isn't a myth. This is the story of one of the rarest and most expensive Lincoln cents in American history. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation since 1909, and the 1978 issue is often considered ordinary, at least on the surface. With hundreds of millions of them produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, it's one of the most common coins in U.S. history. So how can something so ordinary become worth $68,000? The answer is simple. Not all 1978 pennies are created equal. While most were minted perfectly and shipped out for everyday circulation, a tiny number of them were struck with rare and dramatic minting errors that transformed them from pocket change into priceless collectibles. The penny that sold for $68,000 was no ordinary cent. It was a rare mint error known as an off-metal strike, meaning it was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a completely different coin. In this case, a 1978 Lincoln cent was struck on a silver-colored planchet used for a dime. That means the coin is the size and weight of a penny, but made with the wrong metal, giving it a completely different appearance. It's lighter, it's silvery in color, and it doesn't look or feel like any normal penny. When rare off-metal errors like this are discovered, they're instantly valuable, but when they're from a modern era like 1978 and in near-perfect condition, their value skyrockets. One such coin was graded MS-66, meaning it's in mint state with very few imperfections. That grade combined with the bizarre and dramatic nature of the mint error helped it reach an auction price of $68,000. But off-metal strikes aren't the only reason 1978 pennies are valuable. Some collectors have found double die varieties from this year. These are coins where the design appears to be doubled, usually on the date, lettering, or Lincoln's profile. Doubling can occur during the minting process when the die strikes the coin more than once in slightly different positions. These types of errors are extremely collectible, and while most double dies from 1978 are subtle, a few dramatic examples have fetched tens of thousands of dollars. Then there are striking errors like off-center strikes, clipped planchets, and broad strikes, rare mistakes that give the coin a distorted appearance. Most of these errors are minor, but when they happen on a 1978 penny and are combined with high grades and perfect preservation, the value can skyrocket. So why do collectors pay so much for a coin like this? First, rarity. Out of hundreds of millions of 1978 Lincoln cents, only a handful have these extreme errors. The odds of finding one are astronomically low, which drives demand and increases value. Second, condition. Most coins from the 70s have been in circulation for decades. They're scratched, worn, or discolored. A mint error penny in near-perfect condition is like lightning in a bottle. And when it's graded MS-66 or higher by a top grading company, it becomes a premium asset. Third, historical significance. Errors like this are part of U.S. mint history. They reflect what was happening behind the scenes at a time when coin production was moving fast and mistakes slipped through the cracks. These coins tell a story, and that story is worth money. Fourth, collector demand. There are thousands of serious Lincoln cent collectors around the world, and when a new rarity hits the market, especially one with a known auction record of $68,000, it causes a frenzy. Let's recap. Year: 1978 coin. Lincoln 1 cent mint error, off-metal strike, on dime planchet. Or dramatic minting mistake grade, MS-66 or higher color, silver appearance due to wrong planchet rarity, extremely low, only a few known examples value. Up to $68,000, and here's the most exciting part. That coin wasn't found in a vault or private collection, it was discovered in change. That means coins like it could still be out there today. You could be walking around with one in your pocket, in your old coin jar, or in a forgotten roll from the bank. Every single time you find a 1978 penny, take a moment to really look at it. Check the color. Is it silver instead of copper? Check the details. Is anything doubled or off-center? Does it look too light, too thin, too strange? Because that one tiny coin could be your ticket to thousands of dollars. And just like that lucky collector who discovered the $68,000 Lincoln cent, you could go from pocket change to life-changing money with a single find. This is why people still search. This is why collectors keep hunting. Because among the billions of ordinary pennies, a few extraordinary ones are still waiting to be found. And maybe, just maybe, the next rare 1978 Lincoln penny worth $68,000 is already in your hand. Top 5. What if the penny you tossed into a jar years ago, or the one sitting in your glove box, was actually worth $63,000? It might sound impossible, but it's the true story of one of the rarest and most expensive Lincoln cents ever discovered, the 1994 1-cent coin that shocked collectors and turned a common year into a legendary one. This isn't about gold or silver. This is about a 1-cent copper-plated zinc coin that became one of the most valuable modern U.S. coins in history. The Lincoln penny has been a cornerstone of American currency for over a century, and by the 1990s, it had seen countless design tweaks, mint changes, and metal shifts. But most people never imagined that anything minted in the 1990s could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. That changed when a 1994 Lincoln cent appeared with a mistake so rare and so dramatic, it instantly became a six-figure worthy coin. Let's start with what made this coin different. The 1994 Lincoln penny that sold for $63,000 wasn't struck on the normal copper-plated zinc planchet used for most pennies after 1982. Instead, this penny was struck on a nickel planchet, the type of blank normally used for a 5-cent coin. That's right, a penny struck on a nickel blank. The result? A 1-cent coin that is silver in color, larger in size, and completely different in weight and appearance from any regular penny. This type of mint error is known as an off-metal strike, and it is extremely rare. It happens when a blank for a different denomination somehow finds its way into the wrong press and is struck with the wrong coin design. These kinds of errors are not supposed to leave the U.S. Mint, but every now and then, one slips out and enters circulation. That's what happened with this 1994 penny. And because so few were ever made, likely just a handful, the value soared. When one of these off-metal 1994 pennies was graded in mint state condition, it was declared one of the finest known examples of its kind. Sharp details, flawless surfaces, and perfect strike all combined with the shocking off-metal error. That coin later sold at auction for a stunning $63,000. But that's not the only reason why 1994 Lincoln pennies are worth looking at. This year is also known among collectors for another rare variety, double die obverse errors. These are coins where the front image, Lincoln's face, the date, or the word Liberty appears to be doubled, caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process at the mint. While most 1994 double die examples are subtle, a few dramatic ones have surfaced and are highly sought after. Combine a strong double die with near-perfect condition, and the value can reach thousands. There are also off-center strikes, broad strikes, and clipped planchets from 1994, all of which had massive value to the coin if the error is dramatic and the coin is preserved in excellent condition. So why are collectors so obsessed with coins like this? It comes down to four things: rarity, condition, error type, and market demand. Rarity: the number of known 1994 Lincoln cents with off-metal errors or extreme double dies is incredibly small. We're not talking hundreds, we're talking a handful. That makes them nearly impossible to find and incredibly valuable. Condition: the highest auction prices are always for coins in mint state condition. No wear, no damage, and full mint luster. The $63,000 example was graded in the top tier, meaning it looked almost exactly as it did the day it was struck. Error type: not all mint errors are created equal. Minor flaws won't fetch big prices. But an off-metal strike, especially one as dramatic as a penny on a nickel planchet, is the kind of mistake collectors dream about. Market demand: the Lincoln penny series is one of the most collected in the world. There are collectors searching for every year, every mint mark, and every known variety. When a new, rare variety hits the market, the competition is fierce and the prices climb fast. Let's break down the details of the $63,000 coin. Year: 1994 coin, Lincoln 1-centerer. Off-metal strike on nickel planchet grade. Mint state: top-tier condition color, silver instead of copper weight. Incorrect due to wrong planchet value. Up to $63,000, and the most amazing part of all this: that coin was found in circulation. It wasn't stored in a vault or bought from a dealer. Someone found it in change, recognized it was unusual, and sent it in to be graded. That means the next rare and valuable penny could still be sitting in your pocket, in a drawer, in a forgotten roll of coins at your bank. The 1994 penny might not look like anything special at first glance. But if you take a closer look, if it's the wrong color, wrong weight, or looks even slightly off, you might be staring at a $63,000 treasure. So before you toss that change aside or ignore a handful of pennies, take a second to really look. Because just like that lucky collector who cashed in big on a 1994 penny, you might be holding something priceless. That's the magic of coin collecting. That's the power of paying attention. And that's how a 1-cent coin can change your life. And who knows, the next $63,000 Lincoln penny could already be in your hand.